The minister in the Presidency, Mondli Gungubele, is addressing the media on the outcomes of a cabinet meeting held yesterday.
Of personal protective equipment and other illegal activities in the department. Cabinet reiterated that whistleblowers are important guardians of our democracy and clean governance, and urged people to continue exposing and reporting corruption and malfeasance without fear or favor. On the cabinet decisions, ladies and gentlemen, first, on the Financial Action Task Force assessment, which is most commonly called FATF, Cabinet was briefed on the outcomes of the assessment of South Africa on its anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism measures. The assessment was done by FATF, which is an intergovernmental organization on international structure founded to combat money laundering and the financing of terrorism. South Africa has been a member of the FATF since 2003. The full report will be released through the website of the FATF, and a full statement outlining government's response on areas of weaknesses highlighted in the assessment and measures to strengthen its measures will be provided. And Cabinet appreciated the report. On the dissolutions of the board of the National Home Builders Registration Council, which is commonly called NHBRC, Cabinet concurred with the decision of the Human Settlement Minister, Mamuluku Kubai, to dissolve the current board of the NHBRC, whilst the Department of Human Settlement finalizes the process of appointing a fully constituted board. The term of the current board expired on the 31st July 2021 and was extended to 1st August 2021. Cabinet also concurred with the appointment of Mr. Mpedzizeni Alfred Radzelani as the administrator of the NHBRC in the interim. Extension of the national state disaster. Cabinet approved the extension of the national state of disaster to 15 September 2021 in terms of the section 27, subsection 5, paragraph C of the Disaster Management Act 2002. In other words, the protocol as they pertain are going to continue. On the upcoming events, Group of 20 or G20 Compact with Africa, Cabinet welcomed the outcomes of the G20 Compact with Africa meeting that was held in Berlin, Germany on 26 and 27 August 2021. Discussions focus on vaccine production in Africa and ways in which to improve the business environment and increase investment. South Africa is a member of the G20 and co-chairs the G20 Command with African Initiative alongside Germany. President Cyril Ramaphosa also met with the Chancellor Angela Merkel to discuss bilateral and regional issues. On the Tourism Month, the country will commemorate Tourism Month in September and World Tourism Day on Monday, 27 September 2021, under the theme, open quote, Tourism for Inclusive Growth, COVID-19 Recovery, Building Back Better, close quote. This year's Tourism Month will encourage South Africans to do their part in sustaining jobs by traveling domestically and supporting the recovery of tourism in line with the Tourism Sector Recovery Plan, which sets out interventions to support the sector's recovery. I beg your pardon. Cabinet encouraged South Africans to vaccinate and explore our beautiful country whilst adhering to all health protocols, including the wearing of a face mask in public, washing hands regularly, and maintaining social distancing. Some messages for the public consumption. On congratulation, Cabinet extended its congratulation and well wishes to the following: the South African Under-20 athletics team for their performance at the Under-20 World Athletics Championship held in Nairobi, Kenya, from the 17th to the 22nd August 2021. Team SA amassed 9 medals, including breaking the men's under-20 4 by 400 meters relay world record. Let me repeat, 100 by 4 meters relay record. Team South Africa, for their performance at the Tokyo Paralympics, Ndando Mahlangu won gold in the men's long jump and set a new world record with a jump of 7.17 meters. Enrun Weyes won gold for the women's 400 meters. Paracyclist Peter Dupris also won gold. Lausanne Coetzee, with the guide Erasmus Bedenhorst, won a Paralympic silver medal in women's 1,500 meters. Actress Thuso Mbedu for winning the TV Breakout Star Award for her role in the Underground Railroad at the 2021 Hollywood Critics Association TV Awards. The newly elected President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, for being elected as a President of Zambia. The success of the recent presidential election provides the basis for continuing stability and development in Zambia and also in the Southern African region. On the area of condolences, Cabinet extended its heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of Comrade Kebi, Mr. Kebi Mapatswe, age 59, the former Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans and current Member of Parliament. He was the national chairperson of Mkondo Wesizwe MK Military Veterans Association. He dedicated his life to the development of this country. Singer also, and the Mahotela Queen's original member, Nobesuthu Mbadu. The veteran singer died at the Tele Mkhwarane Regional Hospital in the Vosloorus, Gauteng. She was 76 years old. On the area of appointments, as I close, ladies and gentlemen, all appointments are subject to verification of qualifications and relevant clearance. Ms. Andiswa Oyama, Jess, as Chief Financial Officer at the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. Advocate Dinki Portia Dube as Director General in the Office of the Public Service Commission. Ms. Devinaki Bendem as Deputy DG, Regulatory Compliance and Sector Monitoring. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think we'll take questions. I think you're the first one, then let me start with you.
Do I have a notebook?
Yes. There is. You just open the file.
Oh, here. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's start with you.
Thanks, Ms. Pumla. It's Master Kobashaka from ENCA. I just have a few questions, Minister, on how the discussions were in terms of what happened this week with the electoral court application and then the withdrawal of that thereof. Secondly, we were told by the national spokesperson of the party last week that the TG is thinking of upping levies for members so that you can pay your employees, those who are at administrative level especially. Did those discussions take place? Did they, did they bring that option to Cabinet, and what was the decision thereof? If that's not the route that the ANC is thinking of taking, then what is the party going to do to pay its staff? And then thirdly, the news about Dr. Harvard, the MP, and that state security report that suggests that she's spying for China. What's happening in that regard?
Thank you. I think Minister will speak for himself, but I think this is a Cabinet media briefing. It's not the ANC, because I noted all three questions relate to the ANC, but I'll leave it to the Minister. But I just wanted to remind that this is a post-cabinet briefing, so that people mustn't think it's an extension. So I think Minister will respond at the time. Can we take other questions?
Yes, thank you, Gigi. The first question is from Gay Davis from EWN. The question goes as follows: is Cabinet discussing the low rate of vaccination, and what is the plan? Where are we with the electronic vax card? Predictions for fourth wave? What can government do?
Can you go a bit never?
Okay.
Low rate of vaccination and?
Is Cabinet discussing the low rate of vaccinations, and what is the plan with regards to that? The other question is, where are we with an electronic vaccination card? And as well as predictions for the fourth wave. What can government do to slow down infections or prevent another spike for a fourth wave? And then we also have a question from Natasha Piri from SABC. Minister, how many South Africans have been vaccinated to date? And then I'll take the last question, Siskuna. Nkuleko from the Sunday Times is asking, Minister, has the NCCC discussed the easing of the lockdown restrictions, and when is the next family meeting?
Minister, you have other questions?
When is the next family meeting?
Yes.
Okay. I think
you have to come there.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Ma'am, you said you're from NCA Maseko. Maseko, I'm sure you will appreciate. This is a government briefing. And we always try to avoid blurring between the two, the state and the party. So almost all your questions are better dealt with if they are referred to the party. Yes, and my apology on that. Yes. On the low vaccination rate, we got about 295,000 2 days ago.
On daily?
Yes, yes, in the past 2 days.
In daily rate?
Daily rate. We are not very much disturbed by that number. You wanted a better number than that. Remember, the president would have spoken about 300,000 to 400,000. It does seem, since the young people have been allowed to come in, they are taking it with enthusiasm. And of course, the program to encourage vaccination is ongoing. GCIS has put together a lot of messaging for the purpose of ensuring that we encourage our people not to be diverted by unverified or informations about vaccination, just for them to know that if you want to liberate the economy in this country, which is not doing nicely, remember even before COVID, the economy was not doing well, and then COVID made it worse. It's very critical for freedom of movement in South Africa to be realized very quickly, and vaccination is the route to go, so that we actually lift those who are poor, we deal with inequality, we put our economy back on track, so that we deal with a lot of socio-economic stresses that are affecting our people, so that we are able to have enough money, revenue, so that we can turn around our infrastructure, so that our productive capacity is at a high level. It's when we vaccinate for that to happen. Otherwise, there are various programs to actually promote vaccination that are in place. On the number of vaccinated, I read I said 12.5 million doses to date. Not those who are fully vaccinated. We have not broken down it between those who are double and whatever. And then when are we easing lockdown? Lockdown, whether it's going to be eased or not, one, it depends a lot on the rate of infection. And secondly, also depends on the degree to which our facilities are coping. And thirdly, of course, mainly, it depends on us sticking to non-pharmaceutical protocol measures. Family meeting will depend on what comes out on a given and CCC meeting. At that point, if there are new announcement, they determine whether the family meeting should take place or not. For instance, if you heard my statement, the current protocols of the virus of the protocol of COVID are extended to the 15th of protocol of October. So on that basis, there's nothing to share with the family about. Thank you.
I think that's it. So we'll do. Masako, are you okay? Okay.
I just have another two that I'm hoping you might be able to answer. In terms of the whistleblower, Mr. Yokaran, I know you mentioned that the ANC is, sending its heartfelt condolences to her family and friends after her passing. In terms of the protection of whistleblowers, was that discussed perhaps in the meeting in terms of the protection of whistleblowers and beefing that up so that more can come forward with information that could help? And then secondly, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one, but in terms of the e-tolls, finding out that we have no choice but to possibly pay for that loan, are you able to answer at least if it was discussed or?
You like difficult questions, Michelle. Now, the whistleblower, that is always on the radar screen of government, whether in cabinet or not in cabinet, because the value attached to the whistleblowing, especially when it comes to issues of good governance, clean governance, anti-corruption programs, is very high. So the protection of whistleblower is non-negotiable. Again, we want to repeat that it's quite hurting that Lady Diokarian died in the manner she died. But we also want to advise society or the public that when incidents of this nature occur, let's allow the law enforcement agents to complete their investigations so that we have a full sense of the motive and everything. But there's no doubt that this lady died whilst she was giving evidence. Something SIU says she's been doing for years, assisting government. We are very much hurting as far as that is concerned. But however, the issue of protection stands. And if there are gaps, which we're always going to attend to, we'll continue closing those gaps because their protection is non-negotiable in as far as dealing with corruption is concerned. Or you want more?
Well, okay, so you can't answer me on the gantries.
Oh, okay, all right. Listen, what I know is there is an agreement, is a user pay principle. But the e-toll issue is a matter that is being dealt between the minister and the local and the province affected, in particular Gauteng. Up until they complete their work with regard to this one, I'm unable to actually tell you exactly what is the future. But the user pay principle is a principle that is supported unequivocally by government. And the commitment to pay that when incurred.
Did you know, Minister, that whistleblower Motepu says that she's been protected by the and not our government?
Which whistleblower has been involved?
Mosilo Motepu, she was an advisory executive for a Gupta company, Trillion.
So the question is?
So she's a whistleblower and she says she's never been protected by our state. Instead, she's protected by states outside of our own.
I must confess, I've not been aware that she was not protected. And if that's the case, it's a matter we should regret. But however, I don't want to make full comment on it until I actually appraise myself with the exact facts behind. I know Ms. Motepu. especially when I was in a public enterprise inquiry. She helped the state a lot on information. And I never understood her at that time to be under, what to call. Remember, let's put it this way. Maybe it's important to clarify this. When you deal with whistleblowing, they are not just a homogeneous bunch of people. There are people who are witnesses in an investigation, whether sensitive or not, who, as far as they are concerned, they don't need what to call protection. But as they give that testimony, they may feel threatened. Those normally would report to say, well, I thought I was okay, but now I feel because of what I'm doing, I'm being threatened, and they would report to the police. There's a whistleblower who from the beginning would actually need protection because he doesn't want to go to call it. Most of the time when we talk about protection, we're referring to that whistleblower. So there is a whistleblower, there's a whistleblower who needs protection from the beginning. The whistleblower who simply spill the beans and fearlessly, who feel they're okay. So sometimes we must make sure that we don't treat whistleblowing as comprising of people who are homogeneous in nature. So it's important to say that. But on the multiple issue, let me repeat, one needs to get more underlying her situation. Yeah. Okay.
I've got a few more questions. Sophie Mukwena from the SABC is asking, did Cabinet discuss recent developments in Afghanistan? She's also asking, the Department of International Relations issued a statement where they clarify South Africa's position on the request to receive the refugees from Afghanistan. Which country or organization extended the request to South Africa? That's in relation to Afghanistan. Anton from Pretoria FM is asking, did Cabinet discuss the e-tolls matter? I think that's the question we've just responded to from Masiho. Nazir from Glow TV is also asking a question that was covered with regards to the whistleblowers. Mbali Tetana from Newsroom Africa is asking, did Cabinet discuss the outcomes of the SIU report when pertaining to the briefing to Parliament Standing Committee on Public Accounts? There's a possibility that former Minister of Health, Zweli Mkhize, can be criminally charged. What's Cabinet's response to that? She's also asking, Kusala Diko will be redeployed. When can we see a permanent spokesperson being appointed for the president? Paul from Bloomberg is asking, has the Minister of Health introduced to Cabinet the possibility of introducing a vaccine passport system for the country that would allow the owners of private and public premises to refuse entry to people who haven't been vaccinated? Can I pause there? I've got a few more, DG.
I think.
Okay, let's deal with this. Okay. To Ms. Mukwena, the Cabinet did receive the report on Afghanistan, and even the contemplated stopover for refugees who I understand to be headed towards America. And my understanding is that it's America that made that request with regard to accommodating. And I think Munyele has actually explained the underlying reasons why South Africa could not actually assist in that fashion, and the circumstances that are pertaining in the country. For instance, the number of refugees that are in the country as we speak, and the socio-economic challenges that the country is confronting, and even security issues and so on. Otherwise, this country will always support protecting refugees and also participating in that big program. But I think Munyele did explain the underlying circumstances. On the SIU, there wasn't much to discuss. There wasn't much to discuss about SIU in the cabinet, because those are investigations that are under the purview of the investigating institutions, and in this case, interacting with the president. And we always opt to leave such activities in that purview, and of course, always supporting that the law should take its its course, and including the independence of the judiciary. On the issue of the permanent spokesperson, we cannot answer that question now. In the interim, Mr. Tyrone Seal is an acting spokesperson for the president. And again, the president will advise, and in collaboration with ourselves, on when the next permanent spokesperson will come. We would try to leave the matter at that point. Any other questions?
There was a question about the vaccine.
Okay. It's quite an attractive matter, because those of us who love football, when you watch stadiums in Europe full and so on, and hearing about the measures that Europe is engaging on, the president has actually directed the cabinet to look at all possible innovations that can improve, that can actually assist in actually allowing more activities in the country. And I guess the vaccine passport, you remember the MEC of Limpopo would have said at some stage, she was actually saying to the, taverns, that can we have a deal that those who want to enter space should show a vaccine certificate. A lot of innovations the president has asked us to look at and check if churches have actually approached us to say, listen, why do you ask us to have 50 people in a capacity venue of about 6,000 and so on? What about proportion and so on? The approach of government is that in dealing with the measures of COVID, we must be as indiscriminate as possible. We must be as objective as possible, and scientific rationale must govern us. But the issue of vaccine passport is one of the innovative ideas that are going to be attended to as we look at the total package of innovative ideas on how to set the country free so that the economy can start flourishing. Right?
Thank you, Minister. Two more questions, three more actually. Jan Delanga from the Port is asking, the green paper on a social security fund. Jan Delanga from yes. The green paper on a social security fund was withdrawn earlier this week. Led to several NGOs embarking on tax protest campaigns. It clearly destroyed goodwill between the retirement fund industry and the state for financing social security, and specifically efforts to establish a basic income grant. Whose idea was the green paper? What correction action is taken to prevent this damage? The damaging use of official government mouthpiece. So the question is in relation to the green paper that was withdrawn. The next question is from Khaukhelo at UFM. We have recently observed a number of so-called social media influencers appearing to sell government messaging, and would like to know if there are any companies contracted
to social platforms appearing to do it.
Okay, I'll just repeat. We have recently observed a number of so-called social media influencers. So social media influencers, yes. Appearing to sell government messaging, and we would like to know if there are any companies contracted for this purpose in digital byte style. If yes, how many of these engaged, has there been any publicly advertised tenders? So basically the question is, the social media influencers that some government departments use, are those part of publicly advertised tenders in the various departments?
Well, okay.
The next question is, it's just two more questions, Minister. The next question is from Nazir at Glow TV. Following Bavita's murder, what extra measures is government planning to put in place whereby civil servants can freely expose corruption in their departments, such as having a government hotline in the presidential office for anonymous whistleblowers? And the last question is, we've answered this question, will the president be addressing the country in the coming days regarding the lockdown restrictions? I think that question is already answered. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. I think what is key on the green paper is that it has been withdrawn. It's correct to accept that it could have caused some confusion, and as a matter of principle, when such papers are issued, normally they would have been consulted with the cabinet. And I think it has been withdrawn to go via that process. And we don't express any view about the content of the paper at the moment until it has gone via a proper process. We will actually assess if it has caused any damage, and I have no doubt communications people will have to find a way of dealing with that. That's how far the issue of the green paper is concerned. On the issue of social media influences, again, the DG for GCIS is better placed to deal with this. Let me tell you, normally departments, all departments, all the state organs have got inherent obligation to communicate messages about what they do. They don't need a tender to do that because there are integral institutions that are established for that purpose. But the DG will actually clarify that matter better when her time allows. I think I've spoken on the issue of the whistleblowers. And I want to repeat this because I think it's coming across and across and across that we are committed to the protection of whistleblowers. Where cracks might have occurred, always prepared to actually close those. And again, I want to repeat that as we sit here, but I'm standing in my situation, Masika. as we're standing and sitting here, there are testimonies about thousands of investigations that are taking place in this country. Not every witness qualifies to be a whistleblower. It depends on the security threat of that witness, either objectively detected or that witness, him or herself, expressing that threat. But normally, there is also, what also makes you a witness, we must also take this into account. There are people who become witnesses because of the positions they hold. For instance, as a minister in the presidency, if Nongceba is being investigated, by virtue of the position I'm holding, I can become a witness. So it's either you're a whistleblower because you pressed the alarm, or you're a whistleblower because who qualifies to be protected, and so on. But the basic principle is that all those who have got an information that can assist the state is always committed to make sure that they are protected. Where this has fallen through the crack, the government is always committed to correct that. And I appeal to our people that they should not retreat in this noble exercise of actually exposing fraud, criminality, and thieving. Because the only way we can actually save this country and keep it back on track to have an economy that is performing, that is loved by the world, and make South Africa a destination for investment is when we prevail over criminality and fraud. And we will always need their support, and we commit to their protection at all material times. And then, yes. Did I leave out anything?
No.
I didn't.
It's just the one, I think, of the DG.
Do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. DG will deal with the social media tenders. You know, politicians Moscow don't deal with tenders. They deal with the policy of tendering.
Well, it's upsetting that Babita Deokaran died the way she did. That's from the new minister in the presidency, Mondli Gungubele, there addressing the media, responding to a question after he urged South Africans to continue exposing corruption as he completes his first post-cabinet briefing outcomes since his appointment.